The Royal Gardens Hotel in Dubai was the kind of place where even the air conditioning felt expensive. Crystal chandeliers hung from vaulted ceilings, and marble floors gleamed under elaborate lighting. My cousin Nadia had chosen this venue specifically because it screamed wealth, two things she'd worked her entire life to acquire after growing up in our middle-class Pakistani family in Toronto. I stood in the lobby watching wedding guests stream past toward the reception hall. Designer abayas and custom tuxedos, jewelry that could fund small businesses, conversations in English, Arabic, Urdu and French. This was Nadia's dream. Marrying Samir Al-Mansouri, whose family owned half the commercial real estate in Abu Dhabi. "Excuse me, miss." A hotel staff member approached with a polite smile. "Are you attending the Al-Mansouri wedding?" "Yes. I'm Zara Qureshi, Nadia's cousin." He checked his tablet, frowning slightly. "I'm sorry, I don't see your name here." "Zara." My Aunt Samina appeared, resplendent in gold-embroidered lenga. "Oh my God, you actually came. We thought you'd be too busy with whatever it is you do. I wouldn't miss Nadia's wedding." "Well, you're here now." She glanced at my simple navy abaya with disappointment. "Though you could have dressed up more. The Al-Mansouris have connections to royal families across the Gulf." "This is dressed up, Auntie." She turned to the staff member. "She's family. Just find her a seat somewhere. Near the back is fine." I followed him into the reception hall. White roses cascading from towering centerpieces, silk draping in cream and gold, tables set with fine china. It looked like Arabian Nights reimagined by a luxury wedding planner. "I apologize, Miss Qureshi, but there's no place card for you," he said quietly at the seating chart. "Let me check with the coordinator." They'd forgotten me. Literally. "Zara? Is that you?" Nadia appeared in her Elie-Saab gown, bridal party trailing behind. "Wait, who invited you?" The question hit like a slap. "You did. 6 months ago." "Oh. Right." She glanced at her bridesmaids. "I thought you'd declined. You're always so busy with your work thing." I RSVP'd yes in March. "Must have gotten lost." She waved dismissively, her engagement ring catching light. "Well, you're here now. Though I'm not sure where to put you. Every table has been carefully planned. We have cabinet ministers, CEOs, and Samir's uncle knows the Sheikh of." "Who invited the spinster cousin?" one bridesmaid whispered. The others giggled. Nadia didn't correct them. "Why don't you just mingle? We'll figure something out." They swept away, leaving me by the seating chart where my name should have been but wasn't. The cocktail hour was an exercise in invisibility. I drifted through crowds, watching my family network with the Al-Mansouri clan like an Olympic sport. When I tried joining conversations, eyes glazed over and people drifted away. My mother found me by the dessert table. "Zara Beta, why are you hiding? You should be networking. Half of Dubai's elite is here." "They forgot to give me a seat, Mama." "Oh. Well, these things happen. Just don't make a fuss. This wedding is very important for the family." "I'm aware. You know, if you'd focused on finding a husband instead of all that studying, maybe you'd be having a wedding like this." She sighed. 32 and still single. "Your father and I worry." "I'm fine, Mama." "Fine isn't married, Beta." She patted my arm. "Maybe tonight you'll meet someone. Though you really should have worn something more colorful." She drifted away to join aunties, probably discussing whose children were successful and whose were disappointing. I knew my category. The staff member returned apologetically. "Miss Qureshi, we've set up an extra seat at table 23. Near the service entrance, but it's the best we can do." Table 23 wasn't even on the original floor plan, added for overflow guests who didn't fit the bride's vision. I was about to accept my exile when commotion erupted at the entrance. Hotel security entered first, followed by men in traditional Emirati dress, then more security. Conversations died. The band stopped mid-song. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum entered, and the entire room held its breath. My stomach dropped. He wasn't supposed to be here. The signing ceremony was scheduled for Monday morning. I'd specifically chosen Monday to avoid Nadia's wedding weekend. Sheikh Mohammed scanned the room, saw me and smiled. He walked directly toward me, his entourage parting the stunned crowd. "Dr. Qureshi. There you are. I've been trying to reach you all afternoon." I pulled out my silenced phone. 8 missed calls from his private office. 12 texts from my London team. All urgent. Your Highness, I apologize. The Australian consortium moved up their competing bid. They're presenting tomorrow morning instead of next week. His urgency reflected someone used to billion-dollar decisions on tight timelines. We need to finalize our renewable energy agreement tonight. You're the only one who can restructure the financial projections quickly enough to counter their offer. 300 guests stared at the Sheikh of Dubai talking to the spinster cousin given an overflow seat. Nadia stood frozen by the head table, her face cycling through confusion and dawning horror. I can have revised projections within 2 hours, I said, mind racing through numbers. But I'll need the latest Australian bid details. My car is outside. We'll work from my office. Sheikh Mohammed glanced around at the opulent decorations' stunned faces. Though I apologize for interrupting a family celebration. He looked at Nadia. You must be the bride. Congratulations. I'm Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. Dr. Qureshi has been leading our Emirates' new renewable energy initiative. Her framework will transform Dubai into one of the world's leading sustainable cities within the next decade. Nadia's mouth opened soundlessly. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide her pallor. Dr. Qureshi's work represents a $15 billion infrastructure project, Sheikh Mohammed continued with natural authority. She's been negotiating with 7 countries and 12 international corporations for 18 months. The contracts we're finalizing will reshape the entire region's energy landscape. Samir's father stood from the head table, face showing shock and horror. Dr. Qureshi? You're the Dr. Zara Qureshi heading the Dubai Renewable Energy Initiative. That's me. I've been trying to get a meeting for 8 months. My company wants to bid on construction contracts. Your proposals are under review with 63 other companies. Submit additional documentation through official channels. I kept my voice professional despite screaming inside. My Aunt Samina materialized beside Nadia, her gold lenga suddenly less impressive. Zara beta, we didn't know you were working on something so significant. You didn't know because you never asked. 15 years of dismissal rose in my throat. Every time I mentioned my work, you changed the subject. Every time I mentioned a milestone, you asked when I was getting married. You've treated my career like a work thing that didn't matter. Sheikh Mohammed checked his watch. Dr. Qureshi, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the Australian consortium presents in 14 hours. Of course, Your Highness. I turned to Nadia. Congratulations on your wedding. Sorry I can't stay, you forgot my place card anyway. Zara, wait, my mother started, tears forming. I have to go, Mama. There's a $15 billion project that requires attention. That's slightly more important than explaining why you've been disappointed in me for not fitting your definition of success. I looked at table 23 near the service entrance. For the record, I have a PhD in sustainable energy systems from Oxford. I've designed renewable energy frameworks for 5 countries. I'm leading one of the largest infrastructure projects in Middle Eastern history. That's the work thing you dismissed while celebrating Nadia's marriage to money. Guests parted as Sheikh Mohammed and I walked toward the exit, security creating a protective corridor. Behind me, whispers started, phones emerged, people Googling my name and finding Bloomberg articles, Financial Times features, the Al Jazeera interview about transforming Gulf energy infrastructure. In the lobby, Sheikh Mohammed paused. That was your cousin's wedding? Yes. And they seated you at overflow? They forgot to give me any seat. Table 23 was an afterthought. He shook his head. I've negotiated with presidents who show more respect to assistants than your family shows you. It's complicated. Family usually is. His expression softened. Your work has been extraordinary. You're brilliant and absolutely critical to Dubai's sustainable future. If your family can't see that, they're fools. We spent the drive reviewing the Australian bid, identifying weaknesses, restructuring projections to maintain competitive advantage while protecting innovation patents. My phone buzzed constantly. Messages from Nadia, my mother, aunts and uncles I hadn't heard from in years. Even the bridesmaids were trying to connect on LinkedIn. I ignored them all. At 3 a.m., we finalized the revised proposal. Sheikh Mohammed's team would present at 9, giving us cushion before the Australian presentation. Excellent work, Dr. Qureshi, Sheikh Mohammed said, signing final documents. You've saved this emirate billions and secured our position as regional leader in renewable energy. Thank you, Your Highness. Now get some sleep. You've earned it. He paused. And Dr. Qureshi? You don't owe your family explanations. You've proven your worth to people who matter. Partners, governments, millions who'll benefit from clean energy. Whether your family sees that is their problem, not yours. I returned to my hotel as sun rose over Dubai. 53 new messages. Apologies from Nadia. Tearful voicemails from my mother about being always proud really. A long email from Aunt Semina about how family had always supported my education. I deleted them without reading most. On Monday, news broke. Dubai finalized a $15 billion renewable energy initiative transforming the emirate into a sustainable city model. My name headlined everything. Dr. Zara Qureshi, architect of Dubai's green future. Photos from Nadia's wedding went viral too, not her curated bridal shots, but cell phone images of Sheikh Mohammed entering and asking for me. The spinster cousin more important than anyone imagined. Nadia's perfect Instagram wedding became famous for wrong reasons. 2 weeks later, her handwritten letter arrived. He was sorry. She hadn't understood. He wanted to rebuild our relationship. I filed it away unanswered. Some bridges burned so completely that retrospective recognition can't rebuild them. My family spent years making me feel inadequate because I didn't fit their mold. Chose education over marriage, career over children, purpose over approval. They only changed when someone they considered important, a sheikh, told them my worth. That revealed everything about their values, and whether those values deserved space in my life. The overflow table near the service entrance had been their final statement about where I fit. Sheikh Mohammed's arrival was the universe's response. I didn't need their approval. I had respect of world leaders, trust of international partners, knowledge that my work would impact millions for generations. I'd proven my worth to people who actually mattered. And to myself. That was enough. I returned to London 3 days later, the Dubai skyline disappearing behind me as my flight climbed into clouded skies. My inbox had exploded with professional opportunities, invitations to speak at energy conferences, requests for consulting on similar projects in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, interview requests from international media outlets who'd picked up the story of the wedding disruption. But mixed between the professional emails were the personal ones. My cousin Nadia had sent 14 messages, each more desperate than the last. My mother called twice daily, leaving rambling voicemails about family obligations and forgiveness. Even distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in a decade suddenly remembered my existence, sending friend requests and congratulatory messages as if they hadn't spent years ignoring me. The most pathetic was from my uncle Tariq, my father's brother, who'd once told me at a family dinner that girls waste their education anyway. His email now gushed about how he'd always known I'd do great things, and wondered if I could help his son get an internship with the Dubai Energy Commission. I deleted it with more satisfaction than I probably should have felt. My assistant in London, Margaret, had compiled a media brief about the wedding incident. Apparently, several guests had live-streamed Sheikh Mohammed's arrival on Instagram and TikTok. The videos had millions of views. #SpinsterCousin was trending across 3 continents. Nadia's carefully curated wedding content had been completely overshadowed by the narrative of the forgotten family member who turned out to be extraordinary. The Guardian wants an interview about women in STEM fields and family expectations, Margaret informed me during our Monday morning meeting. The BBC wants you for their Trailblazers segment. And oddly, Vogue Middle East wants to do a feature on your work wardrobe. My work wardrobe is literally the same navy abaya in 5 identical copies. They called it refreshingly modest power dressing. Margaret smiled. You've become something of an icon, Dr. Qureshi. The woman who chose substance over society's expectations. I thought about the overflow table, the forgotten place card, the whispered spinster cousin comment. How quickly narratives shifted when success became undeniable. 3 weeks after the wedding, Samir's father showed up at my London office unannounced. His company's construction proposal had been one of the 63 under review, and frankly, it wasn't in the top tier. Dr. Qureshi, I owe you an apology, he said, sitting across from my desk looking far less imposing than he had at the wedding. The way my family treated you at the reception was inexcusable. We made assumptions based on superficial observations. You mean you assumed I was unimportant because I'm single, quiet, and don't wear designer labels? He had the grace to look ashamed. Yes. Exactly that. I've spent 20 years building my business on the principle of recognizing talent, and I failed completely when it came to recognizing yours. Is this apology related to your company's bid for the Dubai construction contracts? Partially, he admitted. But also because my son married into your family and I'd like us to have a better relationship moving forward. Nadia is devastated. She hasn't stopped crying since the wedding. Nadia is devastated because she was publicly embarrassed, not because she hurt me. There's a difference. Perhaps you're right. He stood to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, that overflow table decision. That was your Aunt Samina's idea. She told the wedding coordinator that you wouldn't mind sitting in back, because you were used to being invisible. After he left, I sat in my office overlooking the Thames, watching boats glide past on grey water. Used to being invisible. My aunt had been right about that, at least. I had been invisible to them for years. By their choice, not mine. My phone buzzed. A text from Sheikh Mohammed. Australian consortium withdrew their bid this morning. Your projections made their offer look amateur. Well done, Dr. Qureshi. Dubai's future is secure because of you. I forwarded the message to my parents without comment. Let them read it. Let them understand what they dismissed as a work thing for 15 years. Let them sit with the knowledge that while they were planning Nadia's perfect Instagram wedding, I was literally reshaping a nation's infrastructure. That evening, I finally listened to one of my mother's voicemails. She was crying, explaining that she'd never meant to make me feel small, that she'd only wanted me to be happy, that in her generation happiness meant marriage and children, and she'd never understood there were other paths. Please call me back, Beta, she sobbed. Please let me apologize properly. I know I failed you as a mother. I know I chose Nadia's pride over your dignity. I didn't realize what I was doing until everyone else could see it. I didn't call back. Not because I was cruel, but because I needed them to understand that apologies after public humiliation weren't the same as respect given freely when no one was watching. They needed to sit with their choices. To really feel what it meant to dismiss someone for years and then scramble for reconciliation only when that person's value became undeniable to others. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent a decade building one of the most significant energy projects in modern history, and my family only noticed when a sheikh showed up at a wedding. My work would stand regardless of their recognition. $15 billion in sustainable infrastructure. Clean energy for millions. A framework that 7 other countries were already adapting. That was my legacy, not their belated approval. The overflow table near the service entrance had been their final statement about my worth. My refusal to accept their apologies was mine.